Welcome. If you've come for cube content, you've come to the right place. We're jumping into another vintage cube here where we're going to play some white-blue Cheons to great success.
I am not going to sit this one out.
You're looking at the deck where Jace, Spellbinder, and Teferi lead the way with some great supporting backup with cards like Esper Sentinal, Fractured Identity, and Mana Tide. So with that, here we go, jumping into the draft and then match one. Alright, here we are in the draft. Man, this is a tough pick. There's a lot of great cards in here. Chandra, Wandering Emperor, Fractured Identity. We can just take a Trop. I think the objectively best card in this pack is Fractured Identity, but it is 2 colors. So that does tie you into 2 colors, or at least splashing one of the colors. I think a really consistent safe pick would be Chandra, and I do think Fractured Identity is slightly better than Wandering Emperor. So let's just take the objectively best card here in Fractured Identity. Pack 2, after picking a Fractured Identity, Swords to Plowshares is an absolute slam. The reason is because it exiles the creature. The fact that Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile are so good because they exile the creatures that they target instead of just destroy, and so it can deal with something like a Blightsteel Colossus. Can't deal with everything, but it is important that it's an exile effect. Here in pack 3, after picking a Fractured Identity, Teferi's pretty safe. I do love me some Monkey, but I'm not looking to go 3 colors, so we'll just slam this 3 fairy. And we're on a pretty control-y start here, so I think now is the time to pick up some fixing, and with the Rafine's Tower, which is perfect. Definitely going to snap up this Jace here. And there's a Thraben as well, fitting into our deck's archetype. So no counter spells yet, so not looking to be super control. It looks like we're on potentially the Cheons plan. Yeah, Flicker Wisp, super nice. There's also an Arid Mesa, which fetching for a white-blue dual land would be nice, but I think Flicker Wisp is just really good here. Elite Spellbinder is also perfect. Plays real well with the Flicker Wisp and just is on that Cheons archetype for disrupt your opponent and get in there. Yeah, the Wandering Emperor coming around means we're definitely in the right colors right now, at least white. Nothing really too much here. I think a Concealed Courtyard in case we need to splash black. Mana Tide, the best counterspell around. And rounding out pack 1. Don't think we'll play any of these. Vryn Wingmare is a nice pickup. Hellkite and Char to round out pack 1. All right, here in pack 2, Tinker's the cheatiest thing to play, but we don't have any artifacts. Adeline's really good, but I think it'll wheel considering Wandering Emperor wheeled. I think the right card pickup here is what the auto selector has highlighted, and that's Force of Negation. Wow, a lot of great cards here, but I want to get some fixing, and I want this white fetch. We will definitely get something out of that pack to wheel. There's another white fetch. Copter, Factor, Fiction, Consecrated Sphinx. All these are quite good. We'll just take Consecrated Sphinx. It's a little expensive. We don't really have any ramp. Not sure if that was the right pickup or not. Ponder is perfect here. There's also a Thali and a Disenchant, but we want the Ponder. We want the card draw. Wrath, Elspeth, Gilded Drake. We're really light on creatures, so maybe Wrath is the correct pickup here. We just go a little more controlling. I think it's between the Wrath or the Gilded Drake. And I don't think we need Extraction Specialist. It may come in handy against an aggro player. The other option is Horizon Canopy just for the card draw. I guess we'll take the Lifelink. It's a little bit of insurance. Ooh, Cryptic versus Daze. The triple blue is a little expensive, so I think we'll just pick up the Daze. And for this pick, I do love me some Pest Infestation. Do not have any green as of right now. So for the Cheons plan, History of Benalia does make 2 attacking bodies. All right, and there's the Adeline wheeling, which is very nice to see. So we're picking up a few more creatures. Ooh, here's Riftwing versus Leonin versus Baral or Geist. I think I want to get Riftwing here. Any one of these creatures would be fun. I mean, not the Baral. We don't need Baral, but Leonin, Riftwing, Geist. An argument can be made for either one of those. Ooh, and another decision between Smuggler's Copter and Wasteland. I think this is a greedy pick. Taking Wasteland here is very greedy on the mana base because we know Smuggler's Copter would just make the deck. And I'm just really considering the Copter, but I think Wasteland's pretty strong. That could have been a wrong pick. Disenchant is nice to see. Elspeth is also nice to see, but I don't think it's going to make our deck. We're not creature heavy enough. We do have a lot of 3-drops, however. Braids hit the sideboard. And Knight of Autumn. All right, pack 3. Oh man, there's a Flooded Strand. That's just going to make our mana much, much stronger. So I think I want to take it here. Venser would be nice, but I really want our mana to work out. I think some interaction would be good here, and I think the best card in this pack for us right now is actually Dismember. We don't need a ramp, so I don't need something like Basalt Monolith. We're okay on creatures, so I just want a way to continue to deal with our opponent's threats, and Dismember does that. Phyrexian mana is super freaking broken. Yeah, there's a Hallowed Fountain as well. With 2 white fetches, I think I just want to snap up that Hallowed Fountain, and now our mana is looking really good. Ephemerate, Hero of Bladehold, Treasure Cruise. The Wrath of God, I don't know if I want a 4-drop creature. Ephemerate doesn't do anything right now, so I think Treasure Cruise is actually the pick here. Treasure Cruise can play really nicely with Teferi if we have 3 fairy on the battlefield, and we can play it at instant speed. It's not ideal, but I think it'll be fine. Okay, so I think I'm going to get roasted in the comments for this pick here, but I've been less impressed with Palace Jailer. It's just really hard to play. Like, it's very easy usually for an opponent to get their creature back. So I think I actually want to pick up Esper Sentinel here. I think that card's just a powerhouse for 1 mana. Not much in this pack for us. We'll just throw a Signet in the sideboard. And there's a Wall of Omens as well. Also a Skull Clamp, but we don't have a lot of creatures that pair well with Skull Clamp, and I'm really worried about dying to an aggressive deck. There's a lot of those running around the cube. There's an O-Ring, a Sower, and a Batter Skull. I think O-Ring just answers a lot more things cleanly, so we'll pick that up. Ooh, Recruiter of the Guard is very nice. Both Recruiters, Imperial Recruiter and Recruiter of the Guard, are very, very powerful cards, as they allow you to find an answer that you probably need. And apparently I didn't pick it up. Man, that was a mistake. All right, we'll throw Phyrexian Revoker into the deck. Here we'll take the Hanger Backwalker. Yeah, not picking up that Recruiter was a huge, huge punt. So we'll already mark the first punt of the draft here. There's a hero on the wheel. Yeah, Recruiter could have gotten Flicker Wisp, Elite Spellbinder, Revoker, Sentinel. There's that Palace Jailer coming around. I probably should pick that up, but again, I'm very worried about aggressive decks, and Kitchen Finks is a great sideboard card. So again, y'all can write me up in the comments for what a poor drafting job I did here in this last pack. All right, Pelucranos, get out of here. All right, on to match 1. Here we are, match 1, game 1 on the play. Super keepable hand here with 2 1-drops, and definitely going to lead out with Esper Sentinel. Love that card. Really taxes the opponent or gets us some extra cards. It does exactly what you want it to do in this type of deck. Looks like opponent's on Dirty Dirty Blue. We'll just get down Thraben and attack and then pass the turn. Red land from the opponent. Burst Lightning targeting the Esper Sentinel. Do they pay the 1? Looks like they do. Mana Tithe would have been awesome last turn. All right, we'll draw with the Inspector and hold up Swords and Mana Tithe, which was nice. Opponent Portents. And then goes to stomp our Inspector, and we'll Mana Tithe this. That way they cannot cast their Giant from the Adventure Zone in exile. Whole thing will just go to the graveyard. We draw a Cloudscape, which will suspend. We need to start putting some sort of pressure on the board, but we have so many answers right now, which is super nice. Not going to crack this Flooded Strand because I want to draw a 5th land, so that way we have Fractured Identity up. Spirebuff Canal for the opponent, who then passes. Ponder was a great draw. Let's see what's up here. Dismember, land. Yeah, let's shuffle this and get a new 3. Wasteland, all right. Now I will Wasteland our opponent. I'd rather keep our opponent off mana than have us get up to 5. Thraben will get in there. Opponent flashes in a Deceiver Exarch. And I will Swords to Plowshares this, as I don't want to die to Kiki combo. Opponent finally deals with the Thraben there with a Firebolt. And just looking for a little action. Now we do get to cast our Suspended Riftwing Cloudskate here, so we'll put our opponent's island back in their hand. Oh, oops, I guess that's next turn. All right, I guess we'll just pass. Now that we have 5 lands, we will fetch into turn. Now I think this is a mistake, getting Rafine's Tower, as if we drew that later in the game, we would definitely cycle it. So probably should have gotten the Hallowed Fountain there. We will cast our Riftwing Cloudskate from exile, and we'll put our opponent's blue mana back in their hand. And this will at least give us a 2/2 haster on the battlefield. All right, opponent plays our 3rd land, and then Mizzium Mortars. our Cloudscape. No counter magic in hand, so we'll just have to let that one resolve. We will fetch end of turn here, continue to thin our deck of lands. Alright, Wandering Emperor, that was a sweet draw. Lelia comes down from the opponent. And so we have the choice. We could exile this when it attacks, or we could just make our 2/2 Samurai creature token with the Wandering Emperor. And I think I want to make the token because we can plan to Fractured Identity Lelia next turn. So opponent does exile another land. We'll flash in the Wanderer here, the Wandering Emperor here, and we'll make our Samurai token end of turn. And then we'll play our land and we will make our own copy of Lelia. Nice. I did play the land before copying with Lelia just to play around miscalc. We do exile a land with our copy of Lelia, but we cannot play it since we already did a land drop this turn. That's okay, we just swung in for 6. Pretty good clock on the opponent. They're dead next turn if they don't deal with one of these creatures. Zealous Conscripts hits the board. Question is, what are they going to take? Alright, they'll take our Samurai token, which means the Wandering Emperor, not long for this world. Pretty aggressive attack, though, as now they have no blocker, and we have basically 7 power on the battlefield. I will O-ring this Zealous Conscript, just because I want to not get gotten by something like Splinter Twin. Now, we probably should have O-ringed after attacks, because we would have played the Consecrated Sphinx we exiled with Lelia, so that's a punt. Alright, but good enough for game 1. Alright, game 2 on the draw. This is a keepable hand with Swords to Plowshares. Mountain Go from our opponent. We get a Dismember. We'll play the Flooded Strand and pass, as I want to have Swords to Plowshares available in case they want to dash in a monkey or something crazy like that. Fiery Islet pass. Okay, good. Happy to play a nice slow game with our deck. Third land from the opponent, and down comes a Lelia, and we will Swords to Plowshares this. Actually, we will Dismember this here, as I want to save Swords to Plowshares for maybe something else they may have. Third land, double white now, which is nice. And because they have no permanents on the battlefield besides lands, let's just play Adeline here. And that way we'll hold up Teferi for next turn. Teferi or the Wandering Emperor. It looks like our opponent is playing white as well. And they get down Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Pretty good card. But now we have a good Teferi target there in that Goblin Shaman token. Now this is probably a punt by not wastelanding our opponent's Fiery Islet. I did play lands this way to hold up Swords to Plowshares, but it could be argued that we should have wastelanded the Fiery Islet and kept our opponent off of blue for another turn. We'll get in there with Adeline, and I am up on Adeline a little bit. She always seems to perform really well when you play her. Just the 4 toughness is kind of hard to deal with, doesn't die to bolt, and she usually always makes at least one other body, so a human token, and she can get out of control pretty easily. She does have to be answered eventually. 5th land from the opponent, and they play Treachery on our Adeline. Definitely cannot let this resolve, so I'm going to Swords to Plowshares our own Adeline. This will prevent our opponent from untapping and means that they don't get to take control of Adeline. And so here's where you can see I probably should have wastelanded the turn earlier. We draw a Mana Tithe, which should be pretty good. I will wasteland now, though. And we have the Wandering Emperor held up, or Mana Tithe. We also upticked our Teferi, which means our Treasure Cruise, it can be cast at instant speed. Fable of the Mirror Breaker flips into Reflection of Kiki Jiki, and our opponent casts a Thundermaw, and that'll 100% be getting Mana Tithe. I guess we could have flashed in the Wandering Emperor to exile Thundermaw, so that was another option. But doing it this way, though, allows us to cast our Treasure Cruise, and we draw 3 cards. Now, our opponent will have an active Reflection of the Kiki Jiki on the battlefield next turn, which is kind of scary. We'll just get this Esper Sentinel down, and I'll get in here with the human token. If they block, which they should not, they have plenty of life right now, we'll just flash in the Wandering Emperor and deal with it. Oh, wow, they do. That's not a great block. There's no reason for our opponent to block there. because we're obviously telegraphing we have some sort of trick to pump our token. Otherwise, we wouldn't have attacked. That just worked out really well for us. They basically just gave us Fable of the Mirror Break, Reflection of Kiki Jiki for free. And now we got 2 active Planeswalkers. I love it. 5 mana into Burst Lightning. Well, they can't pay for the 1, so we will draw, and then we'll just daze, which is pretty backbreaking for our opponent. Yeah, backbreaking enough to just concede. So match 1 down. All right, match 2, we're on the play. This hand's a mulligan to the cat, and this hand's a keep, though, with Elite Spellbinder for sure. I guess we pitch a Plains here. Potential we should pitch the Wasteland, but not sure there. We'll lead out on Plains and pass. Plains from the opponent. Hoping our opponent plays something we can Wasteland here. Otherwise, we'll just Elite Spellbinder next turn. There we go, there's a Hallowed Fountain, but they shock it and keep it untapped. So for that, we're going to have to Wasteland first here. I don't want them to have any blue mana available. And they just cycle Shark Typhoon. That's fine. All right, Shelldock Isle. Wish I had another Wasteland. Jace was a good draw, but we're going to Elite Spellbinder, see what's up here. Plus, Elite Spellbinder will not start getting damage in. Dang, we get tithed. What are we, in the mirror match? No one ever expects the tithe, not even me. All right, Brawl from our opponent into Horizon Canopy. So we'll get Jace down, and I think we just take care of this Brawl. So that's going to help turn on... All right, they dismember our Jace in response. All this is helping to turn on our Treasure Cruise. We can Treasure Cruise next turn. Urza, all right. Opponent's definitely playing some strong cards. There's a Mana Tithe of our own. That would have been nice to have last turn. So instead, we'll just delve the full amount here for Treasure Cruise. Into 3 action cards. Interesting. I would like a mana here in order to cast Fractured Identity. So let's see what we need to do here. Teferi, big Teferi. All right, dang. We are definitely entering hard mode here. Opponent's going to uptick and draw. We have answers in our hand. We can Revoker, we can O-Ring, we can Fractured Identity. We can do a lot of things here. So we draw Little Teferi. Little Teferi will probably be best served to bounce the construct. So I'm going to play Revoker. Let's name Big Teferi. Turn that off for now. And then we can cast Wall of Omens as a blocker, and it'll draw us another card. Hopefully a land. Disenchant. Interesting. O-Ring comes down. They're probably... Yep, they're going to name Revoker. Or they're going to O-Ring Revoker. That turns their Teferi back on. We do already have the answer to that with Disenchant in hand. Opponent attacks, we'll block. I'm just worried about running into counter magic here. Alright, there's our 5th land. We have a lot of options. First thing we want to do, though, is, I think, get the O-Ring destroyed and turn Teferi back off again. Alright, opponent's going to Venser, bouncing their own O-Ring. We'll get the Revoker back, and we'll name Teferi one more time. Alright, we'll play our own little Teferi and bounce the Revoker, and bounce the Construct. Thing is, with Phyrexian Invoker naming Teferi, if I Fractured Identity Teferi, it's not going to work. But okay, so they're going to O-Ring Revoker again. Alright, little Teferi down. And they are within... Oh, wow, and they play Oko as well. Okay, plus they're in Shelldock range. Yeah, they got some powerful Planeswalkers here on the other side of the board. Fractured Identity is really good, though. So let's take their Teferi. That's one Planeswalker down. All right, they're going to Shelldock in response. Miscalc. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't think we can get out of that. Facing down 2 Planeswalkers like this, though, let's go to game 2. All right, game 2, we're on the play again. This is a keepable hand again. I think Esper Sentinel will be really good against this opponent. Plus, we have Tithe. If we can draw a blue card, that'll let us keep Force and Negation up as well. All right, let's just get the Wall of Omens down. We'll draw a card. I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy with 2 mana. Dismember's fine. Opponent plays an island and passes, which is nice. Now we have Spellbinder up, but I want to wait a turn for Mana Tithe, I think, because I know we can play it again next turn when we'll be able to pay for Mana Tithe. 3rd land did nothing from the opponent. Adeline is a great draw. as this is pretty aggressive. It's going to put some pressure on an opponent. All right, they miscalc. Do they pay the 1? Because if they do, we can tithe this. This is the power of having Mana Tithe and Esper Sentinel. All right, they do pay the 1, and because of that, we can tithe the miscalc. Opponents just got to feel awful. So now Adeline's going to hit the board, and we're going to generate a human token that's attacking here with Esper Sentinel attacking. And Adeline's already a 4/4, so she gets pretty strong pretty quick. Now, board wipe from our opponent would be pretty bad. All right, they don't have one because they just play Hollow Fountain tapped. Wasteland was an amazing draw, as if they couldn't do anything with 4 mana last turn. Taking him off on mana now is just great. Yeah, exactly. So that worked out quite well. Game 3 now on the draw, and we're going to have to put this hand back. Need some blue mana. Ooh. This hand is risky. Wall of Omens will draw us a card, but without any interaction, I just don't know. Hollow Fountain tap from the opponent. Disenchants our draw. We'll play the Rafine's Tower tapped. Horizon Canopy pass. Treasure Cruise very slow as well, so just nothing quick happening this game. We will fetch and play the Wall of Omens. I do want to get the Hollow Fountain as I want more blue sources. Opponent Shark Typhoons. History Benalia was an interesting draw. So I brought that in the sideboard because I wanted to be more aggressive against this in this mirror match, because I think our opponent has, more counter spells and whatnot. Ooh, now if we play Teferi, they will not be able to counter our stuff. So the question is, do we play History or do we play Teferi? I think we play Teferi, because if this resolves, then all of our spells are uncounterable. Yeah, there's the tithe. Okay. Well, I'd rather they tithe Teferi, honestly, than to tithe the History of Benalia, because the History of Benalia is going to put a clock on them. I wondered if I should have played around tithe there. Spellseeker from our opponent. Remand. Okay, that's good to know about. Well, for the time being, let's get our cards down while our opponent cannot cast Remand. So History of Benalia is great on this board, and getting the Esper Sentinel down also feels real good. Looks like our opponent's a little stuck on mana. Yeah, do nothing pass. Please do more of that. All right, we'll generate our second night token. We'll ponder here. If they'd like to remand our ponder, they can go for it. Yeah, just pure action. This is great. I want to put Force of Negation into our hand, as really the only way our opponent's going to get out of this right now is to place a non-creature spell. So we'll take Force of Negation, and we'll attack again with our night token. Not going to attack with the Sentinel. I want to keep the Sentinel back just for its effect. We attack with the night token. Fourth land from our opponent. So they could have Venser. There's really not much we can do against Venser right now. Cloudskate is our draw, and the next will be Revoker. But we'll get in there with the night tokens now that they're 4/3 Vigilance. And our opponent takes 4. We'll suspend the Cloudskate here, as it will prove beneficial in the future. Interesting that they didn't cast Venser before damage, but I guess they just really wanted to see if we would cast another spell. So they'll bounce one of the night tokens for sure. Yep, there they go. We have Treasure Cruise mana next turn. Thing is, we can't really cast it because getting a Treasure Cruise remanded is pretty bad if you use Delve. O-Ring, do they pay the 1? Probably not, because they probably want to keep... Oh, they do pay. Wow. So they don't have remand up. They're going to O-Ring the Esper Sentinel. With the O-Ring resolved, we will cast Disenchant end of turn. Just get our Esper Sentinel back. Now that they paid for the Esper Sentinel, we can Treasure Cruise here. And we'll just do the full Delve amount. So leave 1 mana available for us. Daze was a great draw as well. Daze plus Esper Sentinel also feeling really good. We can Flicker Wisp our own Wall of Omens if we need to. And the Wandering Emperor can be kind of our win condition. They play Karn. Are they going to pay the 1? Have they learned their lesson yet? Yeah, they've learned their lesson. They do not pay the 1. I'm not going to let Karn resolve. It's just going to be really good card advantage for them, and we have plenty of other answers. So I think we ditch the Consecrated Sphinx here to the Force of Negation, as our Riftwing is going to come down soon. We have the Wandering Emperor. I think we Elite Spellbinder here and just tax them a little bit more and see what's in their hand. We may be able to preemptively name something with Phyrexian Revoker. Teferi, Dam. Okay, so I don't want to play any more creatures because they have Dam. So they have Cryptic and Teferi. Well, they only have 5 mana, so Daze could take care of the Teferi if they try to cast it. I think we just need to tax their Dam, because now they'll need 6 mana for Dam. I just don't want to have my board get wiped as easily. They really need to draw a land now. But now with Dam costing 6, if they draw that land and they try to cast Dam, we can daze in response to counter it. So kind of really taxing our opponent here with Esper Sentinel and daze and the Elite Spellbinder. And they're down at 10 life. So our Riftwing Cloudskate's going to come hit the battlefield now. I wonder if they're going to remand this Riftwing. They're going to Cryptic Command the Riftwing. Okay. Yeah, they want to tap our creature, save some life. Wasteland was a great draw there. Again, just taxing their mana is being super effective right now. So now I want to actually just Flicker Wisp the Spellbinder and tax their cards some more. And we'll play the Wasteland and get rid of one of their blue sources. So maybe I could have Wastelanded the Horizon Canopy, not sure. Ooh, they have Mystic Confluence in hand now. That's good to know about. So now they're 2 mana away from casting Dam. So what I think I can do is we can tax their Mystic Confluence, and I could probably preemptively name Teferi with the Revoker. I probably should have played the Revoker there, because if I would have played the Revoker, we could have had lethal next turn. So definitely a punt. Because what we do is we play Revoker, name Teferi, and then on our next turn, we cast Wandering Emperor to put a +1/+1 counter, and that would be 10 damage exactly. All right, we draw an island. Let's get in there for attacks. This will be 7 damage, making both of our flyers lethal. Again, I probably should have played Phyrexian Revoker naming Teferi just to take another card out of their hand. Yeah, all right. Too much for them to get out of, though. So that was a really great game, great mirror match. A little bit of misplay on our end, but I was happy with how we played. All right, on to match 3. All right, match 3, we are on the draw. Ooh, this hand. This one's questionable. Wasteland's not great in this hand because if we use Wasteland, it's kind of hurting ourselves as well. So I think we put this one back, give it to the cat. Yeah, this hand's definitely a keep with Esper Sentinel, and we can turn 1 Esper Sentinel, then suspend Riftwing Cloudskate, and then play Elite Spellbinder. Should be pretty decent. Looks like Creeping Tar Pit from our opponent. Drawing Thraben there was also good, but I just want to curve out 1, 2, 3 right now. Opponent ponders. Are they going to pay the 1? They will. Makes sense. Mana Tithe. Okay, well now that we've drawn Mana Tithe, I think we fetch out our Hallowed Fountain, and then we just play Thraben, and it's a little obvious since we're shocking ourselves, but now we kind of have counter magic up, because if opponent pays for Esper Sentinel, then we can usually get him with Mana Tithe. It's a pretty vicious combo, to be honest. It makes your opponent second guess themselves a lot. And no play turn 3 from the opponent. I'll take it. So I do just want to keep holding Mana Tithe up, so we'll just suspend Riftwing Cloudskate here, and we'll get in there. When we attack, opponent fetches in response. All right, they don't do anything with the mana, though. Yeah, Mox Emerald costing 1. Yeah, get some. I guess it's mana neutral. Yeah, unfortunately, could not Mana Tithe that one. It's fine. Wouldn't really do much anyways, or I was just going to go to the graveyard. Our next turn, we're going to get Elite Spellbinder down. Oh boy, our opponent's got a lot in hand here. Jace, Force and Negation, Tamiyo, and Time Warp. All great cards. They have 6 mana available. I guess we'll take the Jace because them bouncing our creatures is kind of annoying. Though our creatures do have Enter the Battlefield abilities as such, so it wouldn't be that bad. But now their Jace costs 6. Maybe we can Mana Tithe their Jace. Are they going to pay the 1? They are going to pay the 1 now. See, this is coming in great. Tamiyo's coming down. Going to cost 6. Now we can Mana Tithe it. If they'd like to force a negation my Mana Tithe, go to town. No, they let it resolve. All right. That's an interesting decision, as we don't have a lot of pressure on the battlefield. Kitchen Fink's a fine draw. We can draw with our Clue token, though, see what's up. Let's get in there first. 5 damage coming at you. Wasteland. Yeah, I wonder if I should have drawn first to kill their Creeping Tar Pit, but it's nice to know that we can take out their Creeping Tar Pit next turn. So they have enough mana for Jace now. Their Time Warp does nothing. Like, if this is just take another turn, taking another turn when you don't have a board presence is very, very weak play. It's essentially like cycling for 5, to be honest. Or in this case, cycling for 6, since they had to pay the Esper Sentinel tax. Yeah, then they're going to play Rex Sage. That does take out our Esper Sentinel. And then they pay a Bayful. Well, that's a pretty good blocker against our Elite Spellbinder. And I don't really want to bounce either of these cards. Though I wonder if I just bounce their Bayful so I can get in for 5 in the air. Not sure. I guess we'll just bounce a land. It's fine. And gonna bounce that land because we'll be able to wasteland the Creeping Tar Pit. Flicker Wisp is a great draw. Bouncing our creatures is really good here. I don't want to attack with my flyers yet. I don't want them to die to the Bayful Strix. So we'll just get in. They'll double block. I'm fine with that. Now we can Flicker Wisp our Elite Spellbinder and tax the other card in the hand. We got to remember they do have an Uro in the graveyard, but they don't have 2 green mana to get it back out for now. All right, we'll tax their Cryptic Command for sure, which now costs 5. I mean, they can still cast it. So their Jace costs 6, their Cryptic Command costs 6 as well. So they can't cast either one of those cards. They can shock in a Watery Grave if they need to. They do. And are they going to cast Jace? No, they're just going to hold up Cryptic Command. I expect they'll tap our team and draw a card. Yep. Wrath of God. That's not the draw we are looking for when we're ahead on board. Grist the Hunger Tide. I think we can get through Grist pretty easily here. Thing is, I'd rather almost attack their life total. Wow, Fractured Identity is a sweet draw. And then our opponent just gives up? Oh, interesting. All right, we didn't even have to make any decisions there. Guess we'll take it. All right, game 2. We can keep this hand. Marsh Flat's doing some work here to fetch out a blue source. Opponent leads out on Watery Grave Mox, pass. We got a lot of power in this hand. We just got to get there. Bayful Strix from the opponent. We'll fetch out Rafine's Tower. Hallowed Fountain was another good draw. Let's suspend this Cloudscape first. Don't care about taking one from the Bayful Strix. Don't need the Wall of Omens yet. I'd rather get the Cloudscape ticking down from suspend. Tamiyo paying the completed cost. Not bad. She doesn't have any targets to tap down though. So we'll just play the Wall of Omens here. Force of Negation was a great draw as we have a lot of cards we can pitch to that. Uro. Yeah, nothing we can do against that. Our opponent does have 2 green sources now to escape the Uro once they have enough cards in their graveyard. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I don't think that works the way they think it does though. So they make a token copy and then Uro just dies. So interesting. I guess they just wanted immediate value. They got to gain another 3 life, draw another card, put another land into play. Interesting, though. All right, well, I guess we plan to flash in the Wandering Emperor here. I don't really want to bounce their Bayful Strix. Time Warp. Yeah, I don't think I want our opponent taking another turn. So let's force pitching Treasure Cruise, I think. Definitely don't want to pitch the Fractured Identity. Opponent's going to uptick on the Tamiyo, but now with the tax, we'll be able to take care of the Tamiyo next turn with our Samurai token. Plus, we got Riftwing coming in. So we'll just bounce our own Wall of Omens. I want to draw another card. So I'm going to play Teferi pre-combat here as I want to turn off instants from our opponent. All right, sweet. Don't have to worry about anything crazy happening now. All right, and our opponent just gives up. Man. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with me here. Don't touch that dial and let's keep cubing.